Well, good morning. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys first of all, look at my adorable mug. Thank you to the lovely subscriber that sent this to me. I love it. Anyway, today we're going to do just like a chatty get ready with me, kind of winter themed. Some of these products are products I love to use in the winter because I do have dry skin. And some products I'm trying out are newer products to me. Some of them are old favorites. So let's go ahead and get into it. So this video is actually sponsored by Origins. You guys know I'm always open with you guys when I'm being sponsored. I've worked with them before and I like this company. I've tried so many other products and I've loved every single one. But the one I'm using today for my primer is the Origins Original Skin Pore Perfecting Cooling Primer. This has willow herb, and what I love about it, and this is crazy, it's the craziest feeling when you put it on your skin. Let me roll my sleeves up. So you kind of shake it up. It's really lightweight and moussey, and it's like a mousse. And when you put it on your face, it is the coldest, most refreshing thing you will ever feel. But what's weird about it, and the reason I was like, what is this magical product, is it has that kind of moussey texture, but once you start actually spreading it out over your skin, it's so like pore filling and moisturizing. And I'm like, how does it turn from that like lightweight mousse that's crazy cooling to this really nice moisturizing primer? It's the craziest. I even put it on my under eye because I feel like it fills in that area really nicely. Just everywhere. It feels so good. You guys, this is one of those products that like, it kind of changed the game for me because it wakes me up. My skin loves it. It actually acts as a primer. I don't need any other primer with it, not even anything on my nose. And you guys know I have a lot of redness on my nose. And I always feel like primers can be weird. This is not weird because it does have that moisturizing quality and pore filling quality. So obsessed with it. I've also been using from the same line when I take my makeup off at night. It's close to being gone. It is the Origins Original Skin Cleansing Makeup Removing Jelly. These both have willow herb in it. I love the Cleansing Makeup Removing Jelly because it's fragrance free, first of all, which I appreciate because a lot of the kind of similar products I've used from other brands do have fragrance in it. So I really like that it's fragrance free, but it does a really good job. It's really gentle, but it does remove like waterproof makeup, everything. And so I've really been loving this, and I like that it's in a squeezy tube and not like in a big pot where you have to dig your fingers in. So I've been loving this as well, and they're from that same line. And if you recall, in previous videos I talked about the Origins Original Skin Matte Moisturizer. I love that stuff too. Same line. This whole Original Skin line is really nice. So that is on my face. It doesn't take long to sink in, and you can go right in with foundation or BB cream or whatever you're putting on. You could wear it alone. I feel like it helps kind of even my skin tone out. So if you're interested in any of the Origins products that I mentioned, definitely check the link below to check it out. Today I'm going to be putting on the Covergirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir, and I feel like I need to like get my collar out of the way there. I have it in the shade 710. It has a little bit of SPF in it, but I'm going to use my L'Oreal sponge, my favorite, kind of pat it out on my hand and then just start going in. This stuff is nice because it's got some coverage. It's certainly not a full coverage foundation, but it's got enough that for most days, especially in the winter, I feel like it's good. It's a good amount of coverage for my skin. Now, if you've got big problem areas, you might need a little more than this. You might want to layer more on. You might not even like this foundation at all, but I really like it. I feel like it's a very kind of natural looking foundation. I feel like I could go a shade lighter in this. At least in person, like looking in the mirror, I'm like, I feel like I could go lighter. This looks a little yellow, but we will make it work for today. I do have my Cover FX custom cover drops, which is it's a really light shade that I own. So I could lighten this, but now it's too late. Too late, Jess. Should have thought of that sooner. I'm gonna use my favorite concealer, the Ulta Full Coverage Liquid Concealer. I just love this stuff. It's very kind of moussey and whipped as well. It blends in really quickly. It sinks into my fine lines the least, if that makes sense, you know, compared to other concealers. And I appreciate that because I've got a lot of fine lines that, you know, are just always showing through. But I feel like it's brightening. I don't know. I feel like my under eyes like it. Does that make sense? Has anyone else tried this stuff? I always feel like I look a little crazy right after concealer, like way too bright, but it'll all kind of blend. Sometimes I'll take, if there's any concealer left on the sponge, I'll just kind of take it down my nose and up to the center of my forehead. I don't know that it really makes a difference, but I like to think it does. Not me. All right, so love that. I'm gonna set it. This is newer to me. This is the e.l.f. little like concealer, like mineral concealer. I don't know what they actually call it, and of course it doesn't say it, but it's in the shade Banana, so it's a kind of brightening yellow tone. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of that, it's a loose powder, on the sponge and just kind of set this area. Not true baking or anything, but just, it's okay. I don't think I love it. I think this stuff, and that's kind of why I wanted to show you guys on camera, I think it ages me a little bit. More so than like I have a Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder that's even thinner, and it'll kind of cover that area and really brighten, but it's so thin that it doesn't make me look older than I am, and I feel like this stuff does. So I've been trying it for a few weeks now, but I kind of wanted to, I don't know, I kind of wanted to try it again just to see, but it really kind of emphasizes my fine lines. Thanks, e.l.f. Sheesh. Oftentimes I'll stop at this point before doing the rest of my face and go ahead and do my eyes, but let me do my brows first because I do typically do that. I'm just using the Pretty Vulgar like little brow pencil. I think they call it their eyebrow pencil, and I have the shade Quick Wit. So I just use a spoolie to brush it out and then just fill them in. So the primer I've been using recently is the Smashbox Lid Primer in white. I really like that it's got a doe foot applicator and that it really does whiten the area. Obviously, if you have a deeper skin tone, this would actually still work. It would just look a lot whiter, you know what I mean? Because it's such a contrast to your skin tone. But it does such a nice job of whatever shadow you put on top of it, it really makes it pop. And it's not so stark white like the NYX Pencil and Milk can sometimes look a little bit too white, even though I do really like that stuff. So one tip I always give is to really make sure you blend the primer in the corners because it can look really weird. Any primer, any eye primer I use. How quick, right? So I'm torn because I want to use this a little bit more. This is the new Wet n Wild palette in Rosé All Day. Nope, Rosé in the Air. Because they've added transition shades to it, and, well, and by added I mean they didn't even have this palette. I don't know, but they added transition shades to all of their palettes because they'd heard everyone kind of complaining about that, like, man, I love these colors, the shadows are amazing, but we need transition shades. So this one does have some, but I also want to use my favorite palette, the Violet Voss Holy Grail, that I never would have thought I would have loved as much as I freaking do. Maybe I'll pull some from this, but I think I'm just going to stick with the Wet n Wild. Let's give it a try. I also pulled out the Wet n Wild single, their new single in Brulee. Very similar. I mean, there's a slight shade difference, but this is way more pigmented. So what I like to do is just grab a big old fluffy brush, and with the primer on, I like to just grab, it's so ridiculously pigmented. I like to just kind of set the primer with this kind of a, it's so powder. It kicks up a lot of powder, like way more than the other. Now, the reality is, it's not that big of a deal, but I feel like I'm gonna wear through this really quickly because it's so much powder the second your brush touches it. But again, it's like $1.99, so it's like, I'm all right with that. All right, so I'm gonna go in with, let's do the cooler transition shade today. I love that they've redone palettes, they've come out with new ones. I'm just gonna kind of put this obviously in the crease. Nothing too fancy as usual. But the colorways they've come up with are really cool. Like they redid their Comfort Zone palette and added some transition shades. I do think that the formula has been changed a bit, but I don't think, like, not for the worse. Like, I think it's still good. I do think it's just a little bit different. Still testing them all out, you know, deciding how I feel about them. So that blended really, really nicely, really, really easily, which I also appreciate. Sometimes when you have drugstore transition shades, or, you know, kind of like these medium tones, they can get skippy and weird, and I do find that by setting your primer with like another eyeshadow first, it really helps to eliminate that skippiness, or where like some shadow will be darker in some area and you didn't want it to be that way. That's because it's sticking to certain areas of your primer. I'm just now realizing there really is like a brulee-like shade right there that I probably could have just used instead of that. But anyway, so let's go in with the more, well, let's throw something on the lid. Let's throw this like cute little kind of gold shimmer onto the lid. I just like to do lid work with my finger. I just feel like it does the best in any brand, high-end, cheap. I feel like every brand, shimmery shadows go on so much better with your finger. Unless you're doing like a wet brush technique, you know, where you really want it. This is not like a see from space kind of a shimmer eyeshadow. It's just kind of a light shimmer. And for every day, I actually really like that. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. Some people really want it to be like, bam. I'm just kind of cleaning up the edges there. So now I'm gonna go in with a more detailed brush and let's get a deeper shade. Let's go for this kind of red. You guys see that? This looks pretty. Just kind of on the outer corner and into the crease. I always laugh when I'm like doing looks and I start putting bold colors in. Because like for me, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing today and it involves laundry and what else? Washing my makeup brushes and starting to pack for our trip. You might be seeing this, we might already be on our trip. But it's just funny because I'm like, ooh, look at this nice bold look. I'm just gonna be around the house. I think it's kind of fun though. Good for you. Like if you do your makeup when you're at home, like usually if I'm just at home, like I'm probably not doing my makeup. But good for you if you're one of those people that you're like, you know what, I'm worth it. And just because I'm around the house, I'm gonna do my makeup anyway. I think that's so cool. I wanna be more like that, even though I know my skin appreciates the break. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like, I do feel so much more like put together when I have some makeup on. I feel like, anyway. So it's awesome. If you do that, good for you. So I'm kind of blending it in. Actually had a lot more color than I would have guessed, to be honest. So I'm gonna go back in with this kind of cooler transition shade and just kind of help to blend it together. You know, is this something that's gonna be like comparable to, I don't know, like the Urban Decay Naked palette? That's always the one because that's like the original, you know, really good palette, at least in most people's opinion. I don't know, but frankly, these are easier to work with for me. I'm not a professional makeup artist. I screw things up, and so when it's pigmented but not insanely pigmented, it's just easier to work with. And for me, I'm learning myself and I'm learning that I just prefer that. Yes, I love swatching an amazing palette and being like, wow, look at these ridiculous swatches, it's so beautiful. And I love that. But at the same time, it's like, but then I don't like putting it on because it's more work because I'm just not that good at makeup, you know what I mean? Okay, so that, again, I think that blended pretty darn nicely. So I do want to put something on my brow bone. I'm going to use that kind of light ivory shade and just put it, oh, that's lighter. This is lighter than Brulee. Again, it kicks up a lot of powder. So now I'm going to wipe off my fluffy brush and just kind of lightly blend that area so it doesn't look like a totally stark difference. And for my lower lash line, I need to find my favorite brush, yes. And I'm going to go in with that. I'm actually going to go in with the darker brown right there. I sometimes will do red on my lower lash line, but sometimes I feel like that makes my eyes look tired. So even when I do like more of a burnt red look on my eyes, I don't always like to put that on my lower lash line. Some people it looks really nice on. Like if you have like really green eyes, I think it really emphasizes the green. I just feel like my under eyes look so dry because of that powder. I really regret it. All right, starting to sweat here. So I'm gonna quickly line my eyes. I do a 3-step method where I tight line with my, with a regular liner, like a pencil liner. Ooh. And sometimes that tight line becomes like a full line because you mess up like I just did and you just need to fill in the gaps. So, okay, that's what we're doing. So I've lined my eyes with the Hourglass 1.5 millimeter. And usually I'll do like a gel liner on top, but I don't always. So I'm just gonna go in with the liquid liner to create just a little mini wing. All right, so I like to do my mascara really quickly and then I go in with my face. So I'm using my Voluminous Lash Paradise from, is it Maybelline? No, it's L'Oreal. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. This is my favorite lash curler. It's from Sephora. I will link it below. No, sorry, Tweezerman. I think it's from Sephora. But it's the Tweezerman and it's like a wider one. So if you have like wider eyes, it gets every single hair. I'm freaking obsessed with it. It's the only eyelash curler I've ever used that I like cared about, that I'm like, oh my gosh. So this Lash Paradise is my favorite. It adds so much volume and curl right away. It stays that way all day, but it does dry out really quickly. So it is my favorite, but I feel like I have to rebuy it all the freaking time. Gosh, I love this mascara, but I don't love it on my lower lash line, so I'm using my Pixie Lower Lash Mascara. Just down there, there's the Clinique Bottom Lash Mascara, very similar, the IT Cosmetics Tight Line. They're all the exact same thing. I mean, like a almost non-existent bristles. It's just like so tiny, so it's really easy to get really particular with your lashes down there. And really, you could use this on your upper lashes too. It really separates and defines. So if you like that, you probably like a mascara like this. Not bad for a mostly drugstore look, I'm just saying. Just saying. All right, so for my face, I'm gonna first cover my face in the Laura Mercier Candle Glow Sheer Perfecting Powder. I usually just grab a big old fluffy brush and just kind of put it up in my forehead, on my nose. This adds like this gorgeous glow that I just love. I feel like it makes your skin look like airbrushed, but like there's just a little glow about it. And I think that's so pretty and so rare to find in a powder. Love, love, love. So I'm gonna put some bronzer on. I was going to use my Hoola Quickie Contour Stick, but now that I've already powdered, I don't like to do it on top of powder, because what I would do is just kind of apply a little and then use my sponge to blend it. Maybe I'll try it. I kind of want you guys to see it, how it works. So I just put a little bit. Of course, now my hair's in it. I just kind of blend that area. It's not as easy to do over powder, which is why I didn't want to do it. But do you see how like kind of natural that look? I mean, as natural as a contour can look, I guess. Yeah, I just love the way that looks. So I'll put a little bit up here so you can see it. I really don't do a lot because I don't, I don't know. I don't really feel like I need a ton of bronzer all the time, and I don't wear it every single day. But this stuff I feel like just looks so natural that I'm like, oh my gosh, I just love it. And frankly, when I heard about this coming out, I was like, no thanks. Like, it doesn't sound like it'd be something I like. Joke's on me, I freaking love it. Right, so for blush, I'm using a very wintry shade. This is NARS's blush in Sin. It's a very, very deep, kind of raisin colored blush. And so I like to use a duo fiber brush because that kind of can help dispense it more evenly. And so I even wipe a little bit of it off and just throw it on. Just like that. I feel like it's, nice, and I don't know. I just feel like it's a nice color. And it's funny because if I would have looked at this in the pan, I would have been like, no, way too dark for me, but you can totally make it work. So for highlight, I've been wanting to show you guys the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Duo Illuminator thing in Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal. So this one here is a little bit more like matte radiant. You guys know what I mean? Like satin. So I'm going to throw a little bit of that just kind of in those regions, because it's definitely a highlighter, but it's not nearly as crazy as the other side, which I'll show you in a second as well. So I just put it kind of in those areas, my classic highlight areas. And then I'm going to grab a very detailed brush. This is the Anastasia A23, and get the other side, the more shimmery side, and just put it in that region. I mean, come on, that's crazy. So I feel like that's still like a strip, so I like to still kind of lightly kind of melt it into the skin. I'm really weird about highlight, I feel like. I like it to be, I like that. I think that's pretty, but I don't like it to literally look like a line. I know some people are into that. I am just not. So this is the completed look. I like kind of looking around. I had meant to cover my little blemishes, but honestly, I don't really mind them. As I look at them, I'm like, that one maybe I could have, you can still see it, but it doesn't really bother me that much. I've been covering them so much, and if you're just curious what I usually used to cover them with, this is the MAC Studio Finish Concealer Duo. And I'll usually just kind of mix these two because this is more yellow and this is more cool. I'll just kind of mix them with a brush and just tap it in that area, kind of blend out the edges around it, and then cover it with like a loose powder like the Laura Mercier one. And it does not budge. It stays on all day. I mean, it really is amazing, but you do have to put that powder on top to keep the concealer in place. And I think I'd even gotten this like on Haute Look for 50% off, so I can link that website below because MAC is on there a lot for 50% off. You're gonna notice I didn't not put anything on my lips. It's because I don't usually wear stuff on my lips. I really don't. And like when I'm at work, I'll see other women like with, you know, lipstick on and I'm like, it looks so pretty, but I don't wear lipstick to work. It is so rare, like very, very rare. I usually just wear lip balm. And so like this Kapari Lip Love, when I leave the house, this is what I would have on my lips after I brush my teeth. You know what I mean? So I've thought about like grabbing a lip color and putting it on, but I was like, I mean, if I'm being real with you guys, I wouldn't put anything on my lips. Like I do for videos, I do when we're going out, every once in a while for work, but not typically. And that's just me. So, and I know I'm not alone. I'm sure a lot of you guys are like, girl, same. So I just want to be real, and that's just lip balm. So if you're interested in the Origins products I mentioned earlier, the Original Skin Pore Perfecting Cooling Primer, or even the Cleansing Makeup Removing Jelly, I keep wanting to say jelly, I will have the link for those down below if you're interested. And I hope that you guys will subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you guys in my next one.